Broadcasting from the crypt. Welcome to Velvet Bite Radio.
You've entered Velvet Bite Radio, my friends, where the undead speak and the forgotten bite back. I'm your host, Melissa Dawn Harris, writer, researcher, and devoted wanderer through vampire folklore, history, and film. Each week, we descend into the crypt of culture to uncover the myths, monsters, and meaning behind the vampire's eternal allure. So pour a glass, dim the lights, and let's begin. All right, everybody, welcome to Velvet Bite Radio, and this is an impromptu stream that I put together at last minute. Of course, we are here to celebrate the memory of the Prince of Darkness, the Godfather of Heavy Metal, Ozzy Osbourne, who sadly, it was announced that he passed away today at the age of 76, just short of 77. And we're going to go over a few things about Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath. And we're going to all share kind of memories in the chat. We'll pull them up. And it's not an official podcast, as it were, where we have a guest and a narrative. This is pretty much off the cuff. And I was really shocked to hear that he passed. I knew that Ozzy had Parkinson's disease, but he had just done that whole concert, that sort of the last tour for retirement. And I thought, wow, Ozzy's going strong. So, they said that he passed away. His family was surrounding him this morning. And I'm not sure if he was in America or they were back in England. I'm not sure where. I'm assuming he was in England. I don't know. We'll go through the articles. And so we're going to discuss this because this is a man who has had many incarnations and transformations throughout rock and roll history. Of course, he started off with Black Sabbath, the original heavy metal band. And if you're into heavy metal or music like that, you will know. If you don't know Black Sabbath, you don't know heavy metal. I mean, that is literally considered the root of heavy metal music. And of course, he went solo in the 80s and had a insanely successful, although tumultuous career as Ozzy Osbourne. And it's just so shocking to see that he's no longer with us. Also, another mention, tragic death, was Malcolm Jamal Warner, I apologize, from The Cosby Show. He played Theo. He tragically passed away a couple of days ago from an accidental drowning while on vacation in Costa Rica. So 2 very tragic deaths in a couple of days. This show being that we talk about vampires and everything dark and gothic and literature, it just seemed appropriate to do some justice and commemorate Ozzy Osbourne's memory. So remember, if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's at Melissa Dawn Harris is the URL. It's just the Velvet Bite Radio. We'll be having a stream on Thursday. It's going to be exciting. I've got a couple of guests, some amazing guests coming, and they're going to help me go through Vampire, Adrenochrome, and Blue Blood. So don't forget that. That's Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern in 2 days. So we will just, yeah, it'll be an exciting show. But today is all about Ozzy Osbourne. Now, I'm not a diehard heavy metal fan, but I did like Ozzy Osbourne, and I did have albums of his. I had, the Black Sabbath album with Iron Man. I had his album. I loved listening in the 90s to his song No More Tears. I had that. So I did listen to him, but I'm kind of a geek. I don't catch on and go hardcore over any music. So I just listen to everything. Whenever I have the mood, everyone's like, what's your favorite music? And I'm always like, I don't know. Depends how I feel in that moment of time. So that's just kind of how it goes. So Ozzy, we won't be able to play any of his musics for copyright reasons, obviously, but we'll go through some images. And he just had this amazing concert that was a fundraiser concert, raised the biggest amount of fundraising in history. So there it is. Yeah, back to the beginning. It just happened Saturday, July 5th at Villa Park, Birmingham. They had Black Sabbath. Of course, Ozzy was there. Metallica, Slayer, Pantera, Gojira, Alice in Chains, Hailstorm, Lamb of God, Anthrax, Mastodon. I think even what's his name was there? Jack Black. Like just an amazing send-off concert. And Ozzy always said, that he would rock until he drops. So I always, when I seen that he had died, I was like completely shocked because he had literally just done this concert for a retirement concert. And I was like, yeah, but it kind of makes sense, that Ozzy Osbourne, the Prince of Darkness, would rock right up to the end and then say, see ya. I'll tell you, the person I feel the most sorry for is Sharon. Him and Sharon Osbourne had been married for 43 years, I think. And it's hard on all the family. But when you're with someone for that long, it's just so hard then to not be with them. And I had just seen some clips of them recently, talking about how much they love each other and then they hate each other, but they're soulmates and they couldn't live without each other. And she said, yes, she said, I couldn't live without you. And then, you realize that if one goes first, you have to live without them. And it's just so sad. My heart goes out to Sharon. She's probably one of the biggest reasons. I believe Ozzy was in with her father as management, and that's how he met her. But her and her family with Ozzy is probably a big, secret to his success. So let's go into the comments, and then we'll go through some image, and we'll talk Ozzy. I wish I could play his music right now. I wish I could strum up some songs, but we will totally get a copyright, and I don't want to disrespect Ozzy like that. So we've got some people. John aside's in the room. Sad day. It's a sad day indeed. And John Connor says, see you on the other side, Ozzy. We've got Mrs. John aside, Renee. Lovely to have you here. She says, I can't believe this. It is heartbreaking. Kirby is R.I.P. Ozzy. Hello. Hi, Kirby. Thanks for coming on. Okay, so we got some old school because a lot of us are probably Gen Xers. So we may have been really young when Ozzy first came out, but we definitely remembered him in the 80s. John says, my first cassette type was Bark at the Moon, 83. You've been listening before that with Sabbath and the solo album, but first type. So I'm so glad to have Spotify. He had a new album out, so I got to go check it out. I remember Black Sabbath because my mother would play the Black Sabbath stuff all the time, so I knew Black Sabbath and all their songs. Loved it. Loved the whole album. I've got it here. I played some of it before I came on, just to get in the bit of an Ozzy mood. But I'll tell you, I'm just going to, I turned my cell data off and it's saying, no, you can't look. It's just so, a lot of people thought Ozzy's going to live forever. Ozzy's never going to go. But alas, we all have to go sometime. And I suppose if you can rock it out and sing to the last, which is what Ozzy, I think, always intended, then you've lived a life well lived. And I mean, we always talk about being super healthy and taking care of ourselves. And, I encourage that. It's all good. But isn't it good that he was able to do what he loved right until the end? Do what he loved. He was always Ozzy. He was always unique. He was always himself. And he did it right up to the very end. This is Ozzy, looking like Ozzy, but dapper Englishman. So amazing. And this is him advertising his album, Patient Number 9. This was released a couple years ago. But this was one of his album advertisement, and he's got the bat thing. He's got the bat going on. The music will definitely live on. Now, I went over to ChatGPT and I was like, hey, what's some of the rumors about Ozzy? Because we all know the bat rumor. Okay. That he bit the head off a bat, and it's real. Like, it's a real thing. It really happened. But they started off talking about how Ozzy was kicked out of Black Sabbath because he was too crazy, and that's actually true. They thought Ozzy was too unhinged. And, Ozzy has talked about his history and his past as a child that, wasn't necessarily, the best. And who knows, where that came from. But of course, he was born John Michael Osbourne. John Michael Osbourne is his actual original name. And calling him Ozzy, I don't know. It's I suppose at the time you could think of like Ozzy and Harriet, but it's very clever. Ozzy Osbourne. So now the bat thing is always a part of Ozzy because of that myth. So he's kicked out. He goes on his own. And he was in concert. I think it was in the early 80s, like 82 or 83. And I guess what happened is one of the people in the audience threw a bat up at him on the stage, and he thought it was like a toy bat, like a fake rubber bat. So he caught the bat, got the bat, and he bit its head off like a joke. Like he thought it was like a Halloween toy. And it was a real bat. And he actually really bit down and bit its head off. So it's kind of like a crazy thing, but yet they just took it and went with the marketing. So like you see this picture here I have of Ozzy, he's got the bat on his lapel there, the brooch, like they just, it's brilliant marketing. Like if you're going to bite a bat's head off and everybody's going to be shocked, you might as well make it part of your brand and really, really, really be the Prince of Darkness, and he's got Bark at the Moon. We'll go over some of the discography and the records and stuff like that. But I want to go back and start with a picture of him in his early years with Black Sabbath. Look at that. Look at it. Look at his shirt that he's wearing with the I mean, it's just so 70s, and it's so, I just love it. And these guys were the first to do this heavy metal, remember? I had an uncle who was or is a musician. He was so into heavy metal, and that's what he played. And a good musician too, but these guys were the original heavy metal. They've got the crosses. They kind of got that boho kind of hippie 70s look, but yet they're a little rough around the edges, they're darker. It's just so fantastic. And then of course they reunited, and I've got an image, or do I? No, it didn't upload it. I thought I had an image of them older, but they did reunite, of course, for that concert. And scroll through that here. There's Ozzy, One of Those Days, official music video featuring Eric Clapton. Amazing. You can go check out Patient Number 9. They got the live stream Back to the Beginning. You can go get the live stream of it. So we got typical Ozzy brand. It's very much. If it feels very much with this website, like we're going back to the beginning. We're going back to the 70s, and you click on the menu. And they've got videos. So this is his tour. Let's click back here because we're going to travel back in time. You can do Ozzy or Black Sabbath, and you can go look at, he had the No More tours too. And then he had Ozfest in 2018. And Ozfest meets Knotfest. Then he's got the Ozzy and Friends tour. He did that multiple times, and Ozfest again. He's done Ozfest many times. The Black Rain. Lots of, like almost every year he's got an Ozfest. We're going back to 2001. Like this guy is on tour like he's nonstop, like he's an animal. The Ozman Cometh in 1998. Retirement Sucks from 95. He's like, I'm not retiring. Like he said, I'll retire when I die. And No Rest for the Wicked tour. This is in the 80s. The Ultimate Sin. And there he got Bark at the Moon. There's Ozzy. World tour. He's barking at the moon, you guys. Go back. And then Speak of the Devil. And then Diary of a Madman. And the Blizzard of Oz. I love all the euphemisms. They're just going with that name and marketing him in such a clever way. And so that is all of his tours. Like this man toured religiously. Now we go over to Black Sabbath. And of course, they've had a couple of tours before this last one. They've done that with Slipknot, Megadeth, the 13 tour. And of course, they're always on the Oz. They show up on the Ozfest. They had a European tour. You just see the art is so clever and amazing and right on brand. And then we get to Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath from 73 to 74. They're going in the 70s doing the tour. Master of Reality, Paranoid tour. That's the album that I had. And so there's the earlier. So this is a man who's like, you cannot call him lazy. This is a hard worker. And he is touring like nobody's business. It is religious. Okay. Another comment in the audience. The only time I saw Ozzy was with Sabbath and Pantera, the first reunion tour. I forget the year. Yeah. It is. It's crazy. And, I heard a lot of people try to say that, Sharon was pushing him to work all the time. And I don't think that's true. I think he genuinely enjoyed it. He's a performer. That's what he did. And so, gosh, I really wish I could play some of the music. It would totally set the scene and the tone for Ozzy. Now, I bet you guys, the recent generation, maybe some younger millennials or, the Gen Z right now, they probably millennials would know him from the TV show, the reality show, which is one of the few reality shows I would actually watch, which of course was the Osbournes. And that's how we get introduced to his family, and I'm sure they were on a talk show like Sally Jesse or something like that in the 80s, but you really get to know the family. And then his daughter Kelly and his son Jack become famous. He has a daughter named Amy, but she's really more quiet, not on the scene. But of course, we had the Osbournes television show. And look at Jack, he's so young. And there's Kelly. And that it was funny. And of course, now that they were, before everything, this is them now. They were doing a podcast. Your beloved Crazy Train waits, the Osbourne podcast. And look, Kelly's looking good. She's had some surgery, but she's looking good. And Jack's looking good. And so they, not only was he really successful in touring and with the music, they had like a tight family. And I know I'm not saying there was an infidelity, but I'm not here to discuss that. But their family unit was tight and they stuck together. So John Connor says the reason he bit the real bat was his gimmick at concert was biting rubber bats. The audience would throw on stage. Someone decided to bring a real bat. Yeah, that's what I was saying. He thought it was a rubber bat and it was a real one. And so now everyone was like, that's all I heard when I was a kid was Ozzy Osbourne's crazy. He like eats bats' heads and all this stuff. So I was always like, oh my God, but it was a gimmick. It was sort of a show thing. You see not Aleister Crowley, but you see like Alice Cooper. He has gimmicks and crazy stuff and guillotine acts, and I would love to see Alice live. They have acts that they do, and it's all theater. And of course, whoo. It's interesting that he only had one top 10 hit, Close Your Eyes with Lita Ford. That's interesting that he didn't have. And another comment, funny, Ozzy was cool, even reality TV didn't diminish him. Well, the big thing that I remember with the reality TV show was that he wasn't taught, he always mumbled. He was like, Sharon! And he was mumbling a lot, and people were always commenting like it was a big joke. But I guess what it really was that he was on medications that was making him mumble a lot. And that like he couldn't talk properly. And so I think people saw that and were like, huh. Oh, the ant story, I looked that up. Someone said, Motley Crue book, The Dirt of Ozzy, says Ozzy smoked ants as a joke. Some people say that's true. Some people say it never happened. So I don't know. I don't know what Ozzy has said about it, but they're saying he did. And other people are saying it never happened. I don't know. I don't know. The bats, the ants, what else? A lot of people will assume that he worships Satan, and he says he doesn't. He does not worship Satan. He doesn't do occult practice. He just uses dark themes, for marketing for his music. Oh, apparently, here's another one. Ozzy killed a dove in a boardroom. True stuff. In 1981, during a meeting with CBS Records, Ozzy pulled 2 white doves from his coat and bit one's head off to make a shocking impression. He was reportedly intoxicated at the time and meant it as a statement against the music industry. So Reese in the room. Welcome, Reese. I heard somewhere that he snorted a spider. See, everybody has these versions of it. Well, he bit the head off of 2 doves in a boardroom meeting. He snorted ants. He's bit a bat's head off, and now somewhere said that it was a spider. So in the Motley Crue book, they're saying he snorted ants. Other people saying it didn't happen. So I don't know. Very crazy stuff. Very crazy antics. And my guess is he probably was high, because usually, if you're normal, you don't really start biting animals' heads off. He can't speak coherently without subtitles was a rumor, false and exaggerated. They did it for comedic effect, and they're saying he has a Brummy accent. He's more articulate in interviews than the show led many to believe. Also, some people saying he was on some medications that some people are saying he died from overdoses. People are saying that's false, that he had never died from an overdose. He doesn't practice witchcraft, and he bit the head off a bat. My dog is getting a little frisky. I don't know how I'm going to do these shows. We've got this new little guy. We're calling him Maxie. He jumped into my car. Like, I was walking my other dog, and he came up, and I tried to give him some water. He was totally looked lost. He was totally dehydrated. Jumped in my car, Never found his owner. He's a sweetheart. Decided to keep him, but he'll come in here. If I shut the door, he'll dig. He'll come in here and he'll go right up into the window and growl. So I don't know. We're going to have to do some training with Maxi Poo here. Okay. Yeah. Oh, joy. Okay. So that's that. It's just really, the man lived fast and hard, but 76. I mean, he pulled it off. There's a lot of boomers. Is he a boomer? I think he's born just before. Yeah, he's born. No, he's a boomer. He was born in 48. He's born in Marston Green, United Kingdom, and he died in Birmingham, United Kingdom. So he was officially in United Kingdom. So we're going to go and have a look at what people are saying on X about Osbourne, because people are reaching out, condolences. There's so many people who have had memories of Ozzy that I obviously don't have. He did a travel show with his son Jack. I'm going to have to check it out. And John Side saying he broke a vertebrae, of course, in his neck with that ATVX. I mean, this guy has been through some harsh stuff. Addiction, breaking vertebrae, biting off animals' heads. It's a crazy life. So there's the official announcement from the Osbourne family, and they're saying, it is with more sadness than mere words can convey that we have to report that our beloved Ozzy Osbourne has passed away this morning. He was with his family and surrounded by love. We ask everyone to respect our family privacy at this time. Sharon, Jack, Kelly, Amy, and Louis. And the Prince of Darkness. Ozzy Osbourne waking up from his afternoon nap. Someone doing a joke. Complex music. The world wrestling. Dave Mustaine. Dear Ozzy, I'm going to miss you, not nearly as much as your incredible soulmate, Mrs. Osbourne. Thank you for everything you've done for us all. See you on the other side. Dave Mustaine. Rock history. There's his final. I don't want to play his. You can see the visuals of his final concert, but if I play it here on YouTube, they might copyright strike. Tommy Vext, rest in peace, Ozzy. There's him. Okay. Last time Mama, I'm Coming Home will ever be performed. This was his last performance just days before rest in peace. We meet again, old friend. There's Ozzy and the Bat, Flash, Desiree. We've got have a look here. A lot of tributes pouring in. So we've got John Bon Jovi shares photos of Ozzy Osbourne, Foo Fighters and the Motley Crue posting. They're updating this. Aerosmith pays tribute to Ozzy. The legendary band Aerosmith paid tribute to Ozzy Osbourne and calling him our rock brother. Aerosmith said Osbourne had a voice that changed music forever and added that he redefined what it meant to be heavy. He did it with all heart, grit, and that wild spirit only he could bring. Our love goes out to Sharon, his family, his band, and the millions around the world who felt his fire. Rock on, Ozzy. You will be missed but never forgotten. They're singing Take Me Out to the Ballpark at Wrigley Field, him and Sharon. The Premier League Club, Asta Villain, mourns lifelong fan. Tony Iommi, I can't believe my dear friend Ozzy has passed away only weeks after a show at Villa Park. It's just such heartbreaking news that I really can't find the world. There won't ever be another like him. Geezer, Bill, and myself have lost our brother. My thoughts go out to Sharon and the Osbourne family. Yep. Young blood. It's just, people are just, there's him and Jack Black at the the final. And Jack Black apparently did a really good rendition of Mr. Crowley, his song Mr. Crowley. Like he had it on, and I really wish I could. We can play this video though. This is really good. This is a nope, can't play it. It's got music. Darn it. I thought we might be able to, but it's got sound. There we go. It is just trending. People are so sad. So yeah. And there he is with Metallica on this side. Metallica says officially it's impossible. Oh, I already read Metallica. iHeartRadio. Like everybody is just so sad about Ozzy Osbourne. The Simpsons, they've got a picture of Ozzy and Homer and the bat with a beer in the bar. There we go. This is him at 26. Look how young he is here. I've got some images of him quite young. Check this one out. He's got overalls on. There he is. There is some more young Ozzy. Now, I kind of like him in his scruffy dog 80s stage. You Bark at the Moon. He had that sort of mullety 80s kind of shaggy hair going on. It was a good job. And there we got this one of him. And of course he had Ozzy tattooed on one of his hands. Super amazing. And then of course, you know, him and Sharon. There's Sharon, and there's him and Sharon when they were first together in the 80s. Like I said, her father, and I have to look this up, but her father had something to do with the record industry, and I'm sure that's how she met him. I just watched this show with Sharon on it. She was finding out who her relatives were from way back when. Her father was Don Arden, and he was managing Black Sabbath at the time. So that's how she met him. He was an English talent agent and businessman. He managed the careers of rock acts like Jerry Lee Lewis, Little Richard, Gene Vincent, Air Supply, Small Faces, The Move, Electric Light Orchestra, and Trickster. He died in 2007. But that's how she met him, was through her father, Don Arden, and she's probably a huge part of his success because she knew how to manage. She probably learned from her father how to manage a career. So there you have it. Don Arden is Sharon's father. And yeah, there they are. And yeah, Sharon's had a lot of work, but you know, if I had money and I was getting older, I'd probably have some work done too. You know, I'd probably be having some work done too. Yeah, her dad was Black Sabbath's manager. Exactly. So that's how they met. He had a wife before that. I can't remember Ozzy's wife before her, but I believe he has kids from that wife as well. Let's see here. Let's go find out everything. Ozzy. Yeah, he was married to Thelma Riley from 71 to 82, so for 9 years. And I believe Jessica Starshine Osbourne and Louis Osbourne were their children. So Ozzy has a few. I think he has 5 children altogether. There you have it. And there, I'm going to reshare this here. We're going to surf the internet together because it's just one of those things when you grow up with somebody and you're getting older and they're gone and they were so iconic and they were such an epic personality. And, you know, Ozzy has his issues, but he looked like a fun personality. So there's Ozzy and Thelma Riley. That was his first wife. And who was Ozzy Osbourne's? Oh, they're talking about Thelma. Oh, well, here we go. Here's the article. The legendary rocker Black Sabbath died. There's his first wife and their children. I think they adopted a child too. Before he was known as the Prince of Darkness, he was just starting out his career. During that time, he married Thelma, and he adopted her son Elliot from a prior relationship. Less than a year after that, after the marriage, she became pregnant with their first child together, Jessica. Their son Louis followed later. Ozzy and Thelma were married for about a decade before they divorced in 1982. The Black Sabbath member went on to wed Sharon Osbourne, who he welcomed 3 more kids. Over time, Ozzy's 2 main focuses became music and family. It's a family business. So there we go. There's Ozzy in 1971. He kind of got a hippie vibe there, hey? He definitely does. Go. Eventually divorced in 1992. Ozzy called their relationship tumultuous. He said it was a painful split from her. And Ozzy said that when his son Jack said that he was getting divorced, Ozzy cried. He said, "I'm crying for you because I know how painful it's going to be, because I've been through it and I don't want you to experience that pain." That's really, really sad. So there you have it. So everybody is totally experiencing this sadness that we're all experiencing about someone so iconic that's gone so soon. And although you could understand retiring, but that you'll never hear from him again, that you'll never see Ozzy again, it just hits you in the heart. It really, really does. It's like, when you just think someone's going to be there forever because they're so iconic. And for it to just happen, after this mega tour. Not a tour, more like a mega retirement where everybody showed up and everybody was in on it. It's almost like instinctively everybody knew that this was the last time and it was soon. And of course, like I said at the beginning of the show, he had Parkinson's disease, so it's a hell of a disease and it's so limiting. And when I think of heavy metal music, it's like this dark expression that is not just like pop music. Pop music is got a trivialness. There's like always dark tones to it, dark tones about religion. A lot of heavy metal, it's actually Christian, or like a lot of heavy metal bands are like very Christian too. Although in Europe there were heavy metal bands that were burning down churches and going crazy, but there can be a lot of Christian type heavy metal band where they bring in Viking stuff to it. But Ozzy had his own kind of there's a Halloween element to it because of the bat thing. But there's also like this like total rough, grungy. You can tell that his kids are kind of carrying it on. Jonaside says, "I've known Ozzy through his music 40 to 45 years, and it feels like I lost a friend." Yeah. And then you have to face it. Like, okay, so there's you can enjoy the music will live on, but there won't be any more made. And if we live in a world where they can create an AI Ozzy Osbourne that makes music, like, it's not going to be the same. It's everybody says that like, they want to store themselves in AI and they want to, but it's not. We know it's not Ozzy Osbourne, and the music. It's not him. It's not that organic way that music was back in the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, even 90s. There's so many bands that were pushing music forward and doing new types of music. I wonder if there's anyone like, is heavy metal big? Are there any new heavy metal bands these days? Because I'm gonna ask if there's anything new. Like, is Gen Z in on this? Are they into heavy metal? Do they know who Ozzy is? I should have asked. I'm sure my son knows who Ozzy Osbourne is. He's really aware of a lot of stuff. Like, he listens to a lot of like stuff that I listened to as a teenager, like Green Day. They're okay, but he listens to a lot of that stuff. He doesn't listen to a lot of the modern stuff. So it just feels like there'll never be heavy metal music like the 70s and the 80s. Like, it's just never going to happen and ever again. It's just a time. It's like we can pretend to be bebop, doo-wop music or jazz music, but it'll never be like, you know, the 40s and 50s. That you'll never have that same Motown feeling again. You'll never have the Elvis feeling again. You can listen to him and people can try to duplicate it, but you'll never have that again. It's like a magical time. I don't even know what's magical about music anymore. Well, apparently there's quite a few bands that are doing heavy metal today. There's Bleed from Dallas. There's Alt in Sweden, Wirefall in Krakow, Poland, Crown Magnetar in Colorado, USA, Mirar in France, Savarda Hevet. There's a lot of them in Europe, in Finland, Love is Noise in the UK, Paleface Swiss, and Vower and Space Chaser. So they are socially aware, from metalcore's emotional depth to industrial sludge and genre hybrids. This scene is both intense and diverse. Many are carving their identity in the underground, but with an eye towards larger stages. Interesting. So there are people out there that have been influenced by maybe Ozzy, maybe Iron Maiden. Here's Judas Priest. Remember a lot of, you guys know Satanic Panic and how Satanic Panic was like, blamed on, like, we did stuff on Reverse Speech, and you can go and look at some of the stuff. We did a show on it where we reversed the album, and it does say strange things. There's some strangeness there, but there was a Satanic Panic where they were blaming stuff on like Judas Priest or Twisted Sister and bands like that, and it was just sort of like, okay, yeah, I get it, but the majority of people aren't Satanists, and most of the people who are doing heavy metal bands weren't Satanists. It was just a theatrical act. I mean, take Alice Cooper. He came from a religious background, and he went through severe alcoholism. Like, it's a miracle he's alive. He's back to being a devout Christian, even though he goes on stage and he becomes Alice Cooper. And what he does is he just says Alice Cooper gets contained on stage. We let him out. He's a character, and then he goes back, and I'm myself off stage. Family man. I'm sure that's kind of how it has to be, how you have to do it. Genocide saying heavy metal is now a 90s subgenre. Yeah, I'm sure there's probably smaller people out there still doing it on stage, but everything just seems like it's some kind of centralized sort of synthetic music. Like, it's not a real. It's not really like this organic big scene. It's like a few people are operating music these days. It's becoming less diverse and more centralized. And when I told you that Ozzy bit the head off the dove, it was his sort of stab at the music industry. And the music industry has probably only got worse for new artists. It's probably not an easy industry to navigate, and they own everything, and they own you, and there's so much crazy stuff. Like, even in the rap industry, there's probably a lot of what was it? There's probably a lot of CIA agencies involved in music, and they choose what to push out in the studios. So, I had another comment from the audience. Ozzy got sued or threatened to be sued with the song Suicide Solutions, which was about alcohol abuse and writing after Bin Scott's death. it's crazy what people will sue about, like what they'll make people responsible for. Because music is an expression, and so if you're writing a song that's expressing this kind of, death or something that's happened, um, and someone sues you because you talked about suicide, I think intent comes to play here, and you have to prove that this person wrote that song with the intent to encourage people to do it. If the intent is they're expressing their grief, sorry, yeah, he said Bin Scott, it was Bon Scott. Sorry, like intent matters. And so, yeah, intent matters. And I understand because music does influence people. Music does influence children. So you want to be, you want to be careful on that. But I'm just going to say this, intent matters and the words matter and the context matters. So if he's not telling people to actually do that act, we have to be careful what we say on YouTube. Even saying that, they could down this video, no problem. But the intent matters. And yes, we need to be careful. We need to be mindful of what we say because people are easily influenced. And I think it's mostly just because lawsuits. I think they're more concerned about lawsuits than anything. But intent does matter. And I think if you would sue someone, you'd have to show intent. Kirby says, I love rock, metal, and other subgenres. Absolutely. Woohoo. There's some I like more than others. Ozzy was one, and Black Sabbath is one that, they have amazing songs that we unfortunately cannot play for you here today. But it's just I'm so glad that all those people got to rock out with Ozzy and all those people one more time. And you could tell when he was sitting there, people were saying he was on top and he was rocking it, but you could tell that he wasn't well. And it was kind of his final thing, but this is what he wanted to do. He wanted to do this till he died. And he didn't care how that was going to happen. And he did what he wanted. And what more can you ask for? Incredible loss for his family, not just the world, but his son, his daughters, his children who were very, close to him. They ran TV shows together. They ran a reality show. They were running a podcast together. You can go check those episodes out. So they obviously, as dramatic as the show got and as crazy as things got and as angry as things would get between them, they obviously were bonded and loved each other enough that they could work together and come back for a podcast, do a show. And I figure it must have been really hard. It must have been really difficult to have all the cameras in the house like that. I couldn't have cameras in my house. And you see people today, they have put cameras in their house and they do stuff on TikTok. This is just my office, but it's almost like a normalized thing where everybody's in our life and people, stay-at-home moms are cooking or people are doing makeup and they allow you into their life all the time today. It's almost normal. But back then it was like really odd and weird and considered, what's the word? It was considered very sort of trendy and the newest thing, reality shows. What was the first reality show? I wish there was like a vampire one, but I don't know. You tell me if there was one, because I never watch TV. I'm like a TV hermit. I try to avoid it. I watched some of it, but I did tune into Ozzy. It was Survivor. Survivor was one of the original reality TV shows. So that was it. All right, guys. I'm going to tie this one up. This wasn't meant to be a long one. I wanted to give my condolences to Sharon, who will probably never hear me, and just talk about this man who is Prince of Darkness, who inspired, who helped create probably a lot of imagery we use in vampire culture as well. He's probably part of it, the music, this sort of dark castle, dark man, rock and roll, metal, heavy metal man who just sings, hit after hit, it's just phenomenal stuff. And I'm glad that Ozzy and Black Sabbath were able to get together for one last rock out before Ozzy left us into the netherworld in whatever you believe. So let me know if you have any final comments here. I'll take them, but I'm going to talk about and also give a condolence to Malcolm Jamal Warner, who tragically passed away in a drowning accident. He, was Theo on the Cosby Show, but apparently he kept steady with work and was always a busy actor afterwards in different TV shows and was a musician. And he is survived by his wife and daughter who were with him on that tragic day. So condolences to Malcolm, and obviously condolences to Ozzy Osbourne. And remember, we're having a show on Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern. We are talking more vampires, more blood, blue blood to be specific, and adrenochrome. It's gonna be a long one. Niche and Jer from the Obelisk channel. You can check them out at Nox Arcana. That's their URL, Nox Arcana. They ran a show for years. Niche runs her own show now. I'll put that up when they're on. But they're going to be here with me, and we're going to talk all about that. Niche is a vampire queen as well. She loves those kind of elements, to talk about those elements of darkness, so it will be a real treat. So don't miss that show. Remember, thumbs up on this show. Bookmark the show. If you bookmark the show on Watch Later, you put a thumbs up, you share it up, you put commentary afterwards in the comments. It helps people see the show. And when all you interact, it tells the algorithm, yes, we like what Melissa does. Show her more. Show these streams more. So that is exciting. So our last comments of the day, John Connor is... the first was back in the 70s, where a family was followed by a film crew. Oh, that's fascinating. I didn't know that. I'm going to have to check that out because I only remember Survivor. I guess there's probably really early renditions like that were probably documentary style. So Jonaside said there was a reality show in sci-fi that had a vampire in the cast. Do you know what it was called? John Connor says, I love Ozzy and Post Malone's song Heart of Stone. And John Side says, Near Dark, his favorite vampire movie, is getting a series. That should be. And I did thank you so much, John Side, for subscribing to the Substack. That is awesome. There is an article up on Substack. You get a little bit of it for free. I'm going to do some free articles in the next week or so. There is an article on the adrenochrome and the blue bloods up on Substack. So don't forget to do that. That is melissadonharris.substack.com. Just put that one up for you guys. It is there. It's on there. You get a little blurb. Also, there is an ability, I believe I have it on the YouTube post. I'm posting regularly under the post, so you guys can check that out, because I'm putting stuff under the post category on my channel, whether it's I'm trying to let people have a free week to look at the Substack, and or I'm going to do this show, or impromptu the Thursday night, or here's an article, or here's this. I'm trying to do several posts a day to keep this channel active, because I'm not doing 4 or 5 shows. Theoretically, I'm only doing one, and maybe we'll do some shorts or pre-records. So we have a show on Thursday. I think we'll do a Q&A next week. I have a lot of yard work to do, so we'll do a vampire Q&A, talk a little bit more, and then I'm going to get some more guests on. So that is all I have to say for today. You can check the website out, of course, at melissadonharris.com, melissadonharris.com. Everything's on there, all the links. And if you want to help me rebuild my Rumble channel that I had 450 subscribers on that I lost, there's only 9 now, you can go to here the channel there. It's not too many people over there right now. It's Velvet Bite Radio. It doesn't have a URL. And the reason it doesn't have a URL is because I need 20 subscribers to get a dedicated URL. But I will pop in the link into the chat and I will pin it. There you go. It is. You can type in Velvet Bite Radio too on Rumble and it will do that. Rumble's good because if I ever want to do a docu-stream, a vampire docu-stream, I'll have to do exclusives on Rumble. I won't be able to do that stuff here on YouTube because I've already had a strike and I don't want to get any more. That's why I was so careful not to mess around with the Ozzy stuff because that is definitely copyright material. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me in this tribute where we talked about Ozzy, the importance to, heavy metal with Black Sabbath and his amazing solo career, all his tours, all his albums, all his merchandise. We got Zachary. Welcome to the channel, Zachary. Don't forget to subscribe because we're doing more vampire stuff on Thursday. He says, Sabbath story. My introduction to them was in 1996 when I heard the Dio era of Sabbath in the 1981 soundtrack to the cult classic animated movie Heavy Metal. Yes, it was a gateway to their music. He goes on to say, the soundtrack alongside Sabbath introduced me to Blue Oyster Cult, Devo, Grand Funk Railroad. Dio was the first. I did it in reverse when I was 11. And then he goes on to say, the first Ozzy Sabbath album for me I got was Paranoid. Total. Same here. We sold our soul for rock and roll. Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, and the first album. He says those albums are massive, but SBS is my favorite. Thank you so much, Zachary, for stopping by. Don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe. I hope to see you on the channel. We stream every Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. Vampire. So I appreciate you for coming by. It is crazy. We are going to tie this one up. Guys, God bless Ozzy Osbourne, or John Michael Osbourne, as he was born. And we're so blessed to, be blessed by his music. And hopefully Sharon is okay, and God bless her and God bless his family. Thank you guys for showing up. We're going to tie it out right now. I will see you Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Broadcasting from the crypt. Welcome to Velvet Bite Radio.
You've entered Velvet Bite Radio, my friends, where the undead speak and the forgotten bite back. I'm your host, Melissa Dawn Harris, writer, researcher, and devoted wanderer through vampire folklore, history, and film. Each week, we descend into the crypt of culture to uncover the myths, monsters, and meaning behind the vampire's eternal allure. So pour a glass, dim the lights, and let's begin.
Yeah.